4 words you may have encountered during the coverage of the recent conflict in the Middle East. We're going to give them to you in Arabic and in English.
إبادة جماعية.
And that means...
Genocide.
Genocide. Again?
إبادة
Ibadah. Jamiyah.
جماعية.
Jama'iyah. Jama'iyah I can understand as being everyone.
Mm-hmm.
The first word?
إبادة.
What's the root of this word?
أن تبيد كل شيء. You destroy, you kill.
Side in English, C-I-D-E. Pesticide, you kill things that are destroying the garden. Suicide, that's another bad word, you kill yourself. Genocide, you kill a whole generation of people. There's the gen root again. Genesis is the first chapter of the Bible, the story of creation, how everyone was created. Genetics, the genes, what is in your DNA, what you are created from. So geno is all the people, side is to kill them.
Where do you see this?
It's been described as a textbook case of genocide, what's happening in Gaza at the moment. And a lot of people that like to argue the counterpoint will say, how can you call this a genocide? Their population has been growing every year. As if you kill 100 people but 103 are born, then you're not guilty. We've just had 10,000 plus, 14,000, 20,000. It's going up and up and up. In a small enclave of only 2 million people or so. Exactly. You've taken out almost, in fact, it's over now 1%. 1 in 100. Imagine if one in 100 of the people that you know just been killed like that. How many people do you know? You've probably got 2,000 friends on Facebook. Some people got 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 friends on Facebook. That's 50 people you know died. That's what it would be like living in Gaza at the moment. 50 people you know probably been killed. How many people lost dozens and dozens of members of the same family? Children writing their names on their bodies so they can be identified. Children being put in different houses so that if it comes to it, not all of them from the same family are killed.
I know we're talking about over 6,000 children, sadly.
Yeah. Apartheid.
Apartheid.
This is not an English word.
That's why I don't like it. Apartheid. تمييز عنصري.
This phrase was coined during apartheid South Africa, when the white ruling party and the white ruling elite made it so that South African society was stratified by racial categorization, and whites or Europeans were kept separate from not only black people, but there were also coloureds and different. There was about 4 or 5 different subcategories of human being in South Africa, and the classic picture is white people and black people couldn't drink from the same water fountain, but the real implication was that white people had all the resources, had all the top quality schooling. The better life that you could have in South Africa was if you were a white person, and everyone else was further down the hierarchy.
We're talking about Africa here, South Africa, and we're talking about clearly the color white and black, where it might not be the same case now in, of course, Gaza, right? The Israelis aren't necessarily white. Some of them are Europeans, and some are Arabs, no? And some are dark, and so it's not really based on color. تمييز العنصري هنا.
Yeah, it's not as simple as that.
Exactly. Yeah.
The original Zionist project in the Middle East was set up by atheistic European Jewish people who wanted a Jewish homeland, not because of any religious reason, but because they felt that they couldn't assimilate, or they would not be safe in their European countries because Christian rulers have been murdering them for over 1,000 years. The modern state that you have there now, the demographics have changed greatly. There's been a huge influx of Jewish people from Middle Eastern countries, North African countries, what they call the Mizrahim. So the European Jewish people, the original pioneers of the Zionist movement, and some of them may not have had this genocidal ambitions, the idea of driving people off the land and making it a Jewish-only area. They were looking for a homeland, and some people that went there were disappointed with what they found, realised that this is not about living together and living among the people that are already living there. This has become about dominating them and pushing them off the land. So this concept of apartheid, comparing it to the black versus white in South Africa, it is not about colour of skin, although that is a factor, because within the Jewish society themselves, within Jewish society in Israel, the top elite have always been that Ashkenazi European Jewish people that originate from Poland and Russia, Lithuania and other places. I think every single Israeli prime minister, and there haven't been that many, it's only 75 years old, every single prime minister, possibly with the exception of Shimon Peres, I'm not sure what his ethnicity is, if he's mixed or he might have come from a Sephardic background, but 90% of the prime ministers have been from that European Ashkenazi elite, even though they now only make up about 40% of the Jewish people in Israel. So over half of Israeli Jews now have a origin to the Middle East or North Africa. I mean, you've been in touch with Jewish people of a Yemeni background. There was a strong Yemeni
they still
Jewish
have
presence.
Yes. There are some Yemeni Jews, and they do face racism within the Jewish community there. I mean, there's also some articles that you probably could search yourself about Yemeni children, Jewish children getting kidnapped and so on. And so there is some sort of like also discrimination within. If there's any Yemeni Jew that would like to ever join any live or discussion, please feel free to do so. Ethnic cleansing, بالعربية نقول تطهير عرقي.
Is this a direct translation, do you think?
تطهير عرقي.
Tadhir. What's the root? As in tahira, purification.
No. تطهير عرقي. عرقي ethnic.
Ilan Pappé, the great Israeli academic, wrote The Ethnic Cleansing of Palestine, and it's a book that goes into great detail on how in 1948 there was a strategic effort to drive Palestinians out of the land. A lot of people fixate on the number of people being killed. Look how they're killing them. They're killing so many innocent Palestinians, as if that is the real goal. But I think that's more of just a consequence. The project is to clear the land by any means necessary. Drive them out, kill them if you have to. I don't think it's necessarily an objective to kill all the people. I don't think they care whether they leave or they die. And that's not to defend what's happening. I think that's the reality. If you can reduce somebody to the level of subhuman, you won't care whether you kill them or you drive them off. And this is what the real extremists at the extremist end of this ideology, and not everyone there is an extremist, but at the extremist end, they want to clear the land of the people. And Ilan Pape mentions it in the book Ethnic Cleansing of Palestine, how they would kill or attack a certain village and people would be killed, but they would leave enough alive so that they could panic and go and tell the next village.
Yes.
If you kill everyone, they're not going to spread the word that we need to leave.
Yeah.
So the strategy is create panic, kill some,
and keep
drive
moving.
many, and just get them out of the land. And that appears to be the project now in Gaza. Open the border, get them out, and don't let them back in.
We've mentioned 3 words that have been highlighted in every news that we hear today: genocide and
Apartheid. Which I think is an Afrikaans word. The
Apartheid.
Dutch-related language in South Africa, I think so, as in keeping people apart. It's a phrase that was coined at that time.
Oh, so from apart.
Keep them apart.
Okay.
Yeah. Separation
apartheid.
of the races. In America, you had segregation.
Okay.
Whites at the front of the bus, black people at the back, keeping them apart.
Apartheid.
And it's crucial to mention, the accusation is not that there is apartheid in Israel. There is apartheid in the Palestinian territories, where Israeli citizens live as settlers in racial colonies for Jews only. In 1948 Palestine / the State of Israel that is internationally recognised, everyone can get the same bus, everyone can have the same citizenship. There are certain rights that are not equal when it comes to leaving the country and whether or not you can come back, or whether you can marry someone in a different part of the whole territory and be allowed to live or continue living there. But generally, yes, the human rights situation for so-called Arab Israelis, Palestinians with an Israeli citizenship, is much better than those living in the West Bank under brutal occupation. And it's in the West Bank and East Jerusalem where you have roads that say for Jews only, and settlements where only Jewish settlers will live and Palestinians cannot live.
Coming to our 4th and last word of the day, or phrase, which we sadly hoping to see: human rights. حقوق الإنسان.
إنسانية.
نتمنى أن نرى حقوق الإنسان.
I can understand hukuk as in the rights, insan, mankind, and there's a lot of human rights abuses going on.
نتمنى أن نرى حقوق الإنسان إن شاء الله قريبا.